So, it's happening again. The crisis hits, whether it's a market crash, a lawsuit, or something even more unpredictable. And the first move, it's not what you expect. It's not a rallying cry or a call for innovation. No, it's something more sinister, the great space recall. But why? And more importantly, what does this mean for you? The work from home freedom you negotiated? Gone. Be in the office. Now. Your quarterly goals? Forget them. We're reporting progress daily. That budget you managed? Suspended. Every coffee mug purchase needs 3 signatures. Your calendar? A museum of panic meetings. All your autonomy, your thinking time, your ability to just breathe gets vacuumed up overnight. Let's be clear, this isn't about getting lean and mean. This is a fundamental system reboot. The organization, sensing a threat to its core survival circuitry, doesn't ask for your help. It commandeers your resources. It flips a switch from what we can call distributed processing, where nodes, that's you, have some computing power, to full central processing unit mode. Your decision-making bandwidth, your time sovereignty, your informal chat channels all get identified as non-essential applications and are forcibly closed. The system's sole mission now is to funnel every ounce of collective mental energy into one task, executing the central survival script with 0 lag. If you're wondering whether you're in it, you are. Here's what the manual doesn't say you should feel for. First, you'll notice something unsettling. Your decision tree gets pruned. No longer are you a branch growing in your own direction. You're a leaf, passive, waiting to receive the sunlight. But here's the twist. What happens when the sunlight stops coming altogether? That judgment call you used to make? Now it's a permission slip waiting to be signed. Second, your time shatters. Your day becomes a blur of frantic pulses, check-ins, stand-ups, crisis reports. You want time to think, to process. But what's missing in the rush? This isn't just oversight. It's a deliberate fragmentation of your attention. They can't have you falling into deep, uninterrupted thought. Deep thought leads to questions. Questions are latency. And latency right now is a fatal system error. Third, the information field flattens. Those spontaneous gray area hallway conversations, now considered dangerous. All communication gets funneled into the sterile, recorded platforms. But what happens when the information you need can't be captured on those platforms? Private Slack channels go silent. It's the organizational equivalent of turning all the cozy, dimly lit taverns into sterile, fluorescent lit cafeterias with security cameras. The goal is to eliminate information entropy, any unpredictable flow of ideas. Finally, creativity gets a hilarious new definition. It's no longer about solving problems in smart ways. It's about following the crisis playbook process to the letter. A successful shortcut that bypasses the new 5-step approval chain? That's not initiative. That's introducing an unvetted variable. In a crisis, predictable is safe. And your personal space is the price of that predictability. Now, the trillion-dollar question, why would a system facing its biggest challenge deliberately cripple the very ingenuity and adaptability it needs? Simple. Because in its cold algorithmic logic, it's not calculating for peak performance, it's calculating for control. And it runs 3 brutal equations. Equation 1, minimize feedback delay. A crisis means the loop between seeing a problem and fixing it is broken. The solution? Remove all buffers. I saw a tech giant do this during a data scandal. They didn't ask engineers for better security ideas. They installed real-time surveillance on all employee communications. Every email, every chat, live backed up to legal. The creative rhythm of engineering was declared a liability. The system needed a synchronous central pulse. Your privacy and professional pace are just acceptable casualties. Equation 2. Eliminate interference. In good times, your quirks, your hunches, your network, these are innovation assets. In crisis mode, they become noise. I recall a major bank under regulatory siege. Traders were stripped of personal devices, every trade double-checked by a central desk in real time. They weren't managing money anymore. They were operating meat-based input devices for a central risk model. Your experience, your intuition, the very things that make you valuable are classified as contaminants. The system needs a sterile environment, and you are the potential infection. Equation 3. Replace trust with control. A crisis burns trust capital. The unspoken belief that people will do the right thing evaporates. So the system pulls the emergency lever. It swaps the fragile trust contract for a brutal, simple command contract. A car maker caught cheating didn't empower its engineers to fix the culture. It created a Politburo-style committee that had to approve every single technical change, no matter how small. Your professional autonomy isn't suspended because you're incompetent. It's suspended because the system has temporarily frozen the concept of trust. When trust is off the table, all that's left is obedience. Naturally, you might try to push back. Bad idea. Let's translate your rebellion into system speak. You go quiet, doing only exactly what's asked. The system sees. Node entered low power mode, becomes inert asset, potential source of low morale contagion. Expect more micromanagement, not less. You publicly ask if all this is necessary? That's decoded as node broadcasting dissent consuming precious consensus maintenance resources. You'll be informationally quarantined. You overperform, trying to prove your loyalty. That reads as node attempting a private barter agreement via signal overload, underlying motive suspect. You might get a pat on the head, but no real authority back. You've just proven their control works. So the crisis passes, but do you really get your space back? Not the way you think. The system has plans. And what happens when those plans start reshaping your world in ways you can't control? Are you ready for what's next? Plan A, the new normal. All that monitoring, the reporting, the approval layers, they don't go away. They become the new operating system. But what happens when the new normal becomes permanent? And if you can't adapt to this new order, what's your next move? Your freedoms might slowly return, but now as privileges granted by the system, which can be revoked at any time. Control becomes permanent, freedom becomes a temporary setting. Plan B, the Grand Amnesty. The CEO announces the storm is over and graciously restores old policies. Your space is returned not as a right, but as a reward for your loyalty during the tough times. You're meant to feel grateful. Freedom becomes the interest paid on your obedience. Plan C, the permanent reboot. The crisis was a pretext. The space compression was the anesthesia for major surgery. The organization reemerges with a completely new structure. Your old role and its freedoms are gone. You're reassigned as a component in a new, more efficient machine. Your personal space wasn't borrowed, it was permanently reallocated. The ancient strategist Han Feizi would have understood this perfectly. He saw the state not as a family, but as a mechanism. In calm times, it can afford to breathe out, to grant liberties. In a crisis, it must breathe in, tightening every muscle, pulling all energy to the core to keep the heart and brain alive. Your autonomy is the system's redundant lung capacity. In an emergency, it gets used. So what do you do besides seethe? First, diagnose. Is this a genuine emergency protocol, or is it a power grab disguised as one? The former ends, the latter becomes permanent. Second, find the gaps. Even the tightest control has seams, a poorly designed form, a forgotten channel. Operate there. Third, your new job is to generate a flawless data stream. Every action you take is now being logged. Make that log show one thing: utter reliability, perfect predictability. That data file is your future bargaining chip. And beware the strangest side effect: Stockholm Syndrome of space. After being compressed for so long, when they finally loosen the grip a millimeter, you might feel profound gratitude. Don't. Remember what a healthy amount of professional air actually feels like. Ultimately, this understanding changes your position. You stop being just the frustrated employee asking, "Why are they suffocating me?" You start being an analyst asking, the system is in its low entropy survival phase. What's the trigger threshold? How long is this cycle? You're no longer a victim of the protocol. You're an observer of the phase change, but this is just the system catching its breath. The soft squeeze. What happens when control isn't enough? When the system decides it's not just space that needs compressing, but certain people or entire ways of thinking that need to be removed, that's when we move from the uncomfortable to the truly chilling. That's when cleansing becomes cheaper than reform. But that is a protocol for another day.